Ecuador is a patchwork of ethnic identities, a complex legacy of its indigenous and colonial past. The capital, Quito, is listed by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. José Maria Velasco Ibarra was president 5 times but completed only one of these terms. The Galapagos Islands, home to blue-footed boobies and iguana, are an offshore territory of Ecuador. News from BBC. All photos may not represent the story. Watch to learn English the way you've learned your mother tongue, as this video is especially made. Long the heartland of a series of native Andean civilizations, it was taken over by the Peru-centred Inca Empire in the 15th century, and then Spanish conquerors a century later. It won independence from Spain in the early 19th century. Traditionally a farming country, Ecuador's economy was transformed after the 1960s by the growth of industry and the discovery of oil. There was rapid growth and progress in health, education and housing. Ecuador has many geographical zones, including Andean peaks, tropical rainforests and 1,000 kilometers (600 miles) off the coast, the volcanic Galapagos Islands, home to the animals and birds whose evolutionary adaptations shaped Charles Darwin's theories. Lenin Moreno took office in May 2017, promising to continue the left-wing policies of his predecessor, Rafael Correa. He promised more subsidies for the poor and a major social house building program to help to create millions of jobs, and found attempts to temper these pledges costly in political terms. He had to restore fuel subsidies in a deal with indigenous leaders to end mass protests that had brought the capital Quito to a standstill in the autumn of 2019. Mr. Moreno is the first wheelchair user to become Ecuador's leader, and one of few in the world ever to serve as president. Journalists and media outlets face a hostile political and legal environment, press freedom groups say. Laws give the government powers to regulate editorial content and impose sanctions. Radio is a popular medium, there are hundreds of stations, some operating in indigenous languages. Soap operas and US series are staple fare on TV. Some key dates in Ecuador's history. 1534 Spanish conquer Ecuador. 1822 Ecuador becomes part of independent Gran Colombia, which also encompasses Colombia, Panama and Venezuela. Ecuador becomes fully independent in 1830. 1934 Dr. José Maria Velasco Ibarra is elected president. In the next 30 years, he will be elected president 5 times and overthrown 4 times. 1941 Peru invades, and the next year Ecuador cedes some 200,000 square kilometers of disputed territory to Peru. 1968 election returns Velasco to power. 2 years later, amid a financial crisis, Velasco suspends the constitution and rules by decree. 4 years later he is deposed in a coup. 1972 oil production starts and Ecuador emerges as a significant oil producer. 1979 democracy restored. 1995 brief border war with Peru. 1997 to 2 million people march through Quito demanding the resignation of President Abdallah Bucaram Ortiz after some prices rise by 600%. Congress votes to dismiss him for mental incompetence. 2006 Socialist Rafael Correa wins presidential election, launches social reform program to alleviate poverty and extend state ownership of the oil industry. Please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.